Imagine if today, right now, Jesus Christ returned to earth, not just as a vision, not as a distant hope, but in flesh and blood here in our modern world. Picture the headlines, the social media explosion, the chaos as everyone tries to process what's happening. What would he think of our world today? A world obsessed with fame, power, and wealth. Would he be disappointed, angry, or would he bring a message so powerful that it shakes us to our very core? Some believe that if Jesus returned, he would be met with disbelief, rejection, even hostility. People would demand proof, some would dismiss him as an imposter, and others would cling to him in hope and desperation. But what if this return was not what we expected? What if his message wasn't the comforting words we've come to know, but a warning, a demand for change? As you watch, keep one question in mind. If Jesus returned today, would you recognize him? Would you accept his message or ignore it like so many have before? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss what we reveal next. But this story doesn't end here. Because if Jesus returned, he wouldn't just come as a silent observer. His words would challenge everything we believe in, every comfort we hold dear. He would speak against greed, selfishness, and hypocrisy. He would call us to a higher standard, to a life that values love, compassion, and true faith over the superficial idols we've built. But would we listen, or would we turn away? The truth is, many would find his message uncomfortable, challenging, even offensive. Imagine the impact on leaders, on corporations, on the structures of power and wealth that dominate our society. He would confront the injustices we ignore, the suffering we overlook. And yet, despite his compassion, despite his miracles, would we follow, or would we simply look for excuses to dismiss him? In the end, the question isn't just about whether Jesus would return, but whether we are ready to hear what he has to say. If his words were to echo across social media, would they get lost in the noise, overshadowed by our desire for entertainment and distraction? Or would his message cut through the chaos, reaching the hearts of those willing to listen? This is the question that lies at the core of this mystery. And remember, this isn't just a hypothetical story. The Bible speaks of his return, of the signs and wonders that will precede it. Are those signs around us now? Are we already being warned but failing to listen? This video will uncover these secrets and more, so stay tuned, because the answers might be closer than you think. What would you do if Jesus himself stood before you today, challenging the way you live and the beliefs you hold dear? Would you accept his teachings, or would you question his intentions? Would you welcome him or turn away? This is not just an ancient tale. It's a question we must all answer for ourselves. If you're ready to uncover the mysteries hidden in plain sight, and if you want to understand what his return truly means for each of us, stay with us. This journey might change the way you see the world, and maybe even yourself. So before you go anywhere, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you're about to witness something truly profound. We live in an age of distraction and noise, where the voice of truth often gets drowned out. But if Jesus returned, would his message break through? Would his words resonate as they did centuries ago, reaching the hearts and minds of those willing to listen? Or would we as a society choose to ignore him, finding his teachings too challenging, too unsettling for our comfort? His return wouldn't just be a story from the past. It would be a wake-up call, forcing us to confront who we truly are and what we believe. Imagine the questions people would ask, the debates that would ensue. Would we recognize him, or would we be too blinded? The return of Jesus would be a moment of reckoning, unlike anything the world has ever seen. Imagine the shockwaves as news spreads, with people questioning, speculating, and debating whether this is truly the Son of God standing among us. Some would embrace him as the Savior, while others would dismiss him as a fraud, a figure made up by those desperate for hope in troubled times. But Jesus would not return to win a popularity contest. His presence alone would challenge the foundations of our beliefs, our values, and the lives we have built around comfort and convenience. Imagine him walking into the heart of bustling cities, the very places where power, money, and fame rule. Would he approve of what he sees, or would he grieve for how far we have strayed from the path of righteousness? In a world where social media influencers are worshipped, where fame and wealth are sought above all else, What would Jesus think? He spoke of humility, compassion, and love for one another. But how would those teachings resonate in a world that seems to value superficial beauty, self-promotion, and material success above all else? His words would pierce through the facades we have built, calling each of us to look within and ask ourselves if we are truly living the way we should. Imagine the headlines: Jesus condemns society's obsession with wealth, or the Messiah speaks out against modern corruption. Such messages would spark outrage among those in power. Politicians, celebrities, and wealthy elites would feel threatened, their control slipping away, as people begin to question the very fabric of their lives. Jesus would not cater to the desires of the powerful. Instead, he would bring forth uncomfortable truths, challenging the status quo. And what about religion itself? How would religious leaders react to the return of Jesus? Would they welcome him, or would they see him as a threat to their authority? Churches might find themselves in a position where they too are being questioned. Would Jesus approve of the ways his teachings have been interpreted, altered, and sometimes manipulated over centuries? Would he recognize the structures and doctrines that have been built in his name? Or would he call for a return to simplicity? In the digital age, where every opinion is dissected and debated online, Jesus would become the most talked about figure, trending across every platform. But would his message be understood, or would it be twisted and misrepresented, lost in a sea of voices and agendas? Some would undoubtedly try to silence him, to discredit him, or to frame his words in a way that serves their own purposes. As we consider this scenario, it's crucial to ask ourselves, would we truly be ready for his message? A message that isn't about personal gain, but about sacrifice, humility, and selflessness. Are we prepared to let go of the comforts we've come to rely on and embrace a life that aligns with his teachings? Or would we, like so many before us, find his message too challenging, too radical to truly accept? Imagine the impact on individuals. Families would be forced to rethink their values. Relationships might be tested as people grapple with the idea of living a life of faith and service. Jesus would call us to look beyond ourselves, to care for the marginalized, the forgotten, the lost. But are we truly willing to do so? Or would we continue to live in the comfort of ignorance, turning away from the call to change? For those who would follow him, it would not be an easy path. To embrace his teachings in today's world would mean standing against the grain, facing criticism, rejection, and even persecution. It would mean questioning the norms, challenging the ideals of success, and seeking a life not of luxury, but of purpose and meaning. Would you have the courage to follow such a path? Or would you find it easier to ignore, to go back to a life of comfort where difficult truths can be avoided? As the world watches, Jesus would begin to address the issues that have plagued humanity for centuries. He wouldn't ignore the suffering, the injustices, or the corruption that have become woven into the fabric of modern society. Instead, he would confront them head-on, speaking to the hearts of individuals, calling each of us to accountability and action. Imagine Jesus standing in front of a crowd, delivering a message that is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. He would speak of love, compassion, and forgiveness, but also of justice, truth, and responsibility. He would call us to lift up the poor, to care for the sick, to welcome the stranger, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. But would we listen? Or would his words fall on deaf ears, drowned out by the noise of a world too busy to care? And what about the wealthy and powerful, those who have amassed fortunes and influence beyond imagination? Jesus would not shy away from speaking truth to power. He would condemn the greed and exploitation that have left so many in poverty, while a few live in luxury. His words would be a stark reminder that wealth and power come with great responsibility, and that those who have been blessed must use their blessings to help others. But would the powerful listen? Or would they seek to silence him, as they have done with others who challenge the status quo? In a world where money and influence often hold more sway than truth, Jesus would stand as a beacon of hope and justice, refusing to be silenced, even in the face of opposition. For those who suffer, who feel forgotten and abandoned, his return would be a source of hope. Jesus would reach out to the marginalized, the oppressed, and the brokenhearted, offering them comfort and reminding them of their worth. His presence would be a powerful reminder that, no matter how dark the world may seem, There is always a light that shines in the darkness. But his message wouldn't just be about comfort. It would also be a call to action, a challenge for each of us to live in a way that reflects his teachings. He would remind us that faith without action is dead, and that true discipleship requires more than just words. It requires a commitment to justice, mercy, and humility. Consider what it would mean for each of us personally if Jesus returned today. Would we be willing to change our lives, to let go of the things that hold us back from truly following him? Or would we resist, clinging to the safety of our old ways, unwilling to step into the unknown? His return would not just be a comfort, it would be a challenge, a test of faith that calls us to examine our own lives. Are we living in a way that honors his teachings, or have we allowed ourselves to drift, to become complacent, comfortable, and indifferent? Imagine the impact on families and communities. Some would be inspired to come together, to support one another in ways they never have before. Others might be torn apart as people grapple with the demands of true discipleship. Jesus would not promise an easy path, but he would promise a path that leads to true peace, joy, and fulfillment. And as he walks among us, people would begin to question their own lives. They would ask themselves what truly matters, what they are willing to sacrifice, and what they hope to leave behind. Jesus' presence would stir something deep within each of us, a longing for purpose, for meaning, for something greater than ourselves. Yet, despite his message of love and hope, there would be those who resist, those who cling to their power, their wealth, their comfort, unwilling to change. They would see his return as a threat, a challenge to the world they have built for themselves, and they would do everything in their power to maintain control, to hold on to the things that bring them security. But Jesus would not be deterred. His message would spread like wildfire, touching the hearts of those willing to listen, inspiring movement. As the message of Jesus spreads, people around the world begin to feel a stirring in their hearts, a call to reevaluate their lives and priorities. It's a call that transcends culture, language, and nationality, a message that speaks to the very core of what it means to be human. Imagine individuals, one by one, making the decision to change, to live in a way that aligns with his teachings. Imagine communities coming together, inspired by a shared sense of purpose, driven by the values that Jesus preached: love, compassion, mercy, and justice. This would not be a quiet change. It would be a powerful shift, something the world could not ignore. For some, this transformation would mean letting go of old grudges, choosing forgiveness over resentment, and peace over conflict. For others, it would mean sacrificing personal ambition for the sake of serving others, embracing humility in a world that often rewards pride. It would be a movement unlike any other, as people from all walks of life unite under the teachings of Jesus, striving to create a world that reflects the love and compassion he embodied. But as this movement grows, so too does the resistance. Not everyone would welcome this call to change. There would be those who feel threatened, those who cling to their power, their wealth, and their comfort, unwilling to embrace the sacrifices that true discipleship requires. They would see this transformation as a threat to the world they have built, a challenge to the systems of control and privilege that they hold dear. In response, they would attempt to discredit him, to undermine his message, and to sway public opinion against him. They would try to twist his words, to present him as a radical, a disruptor, someone who seeks to tear down the very fabric of society. And yet, despite their efforts, his message would continue to resonate, reaching those who are open to the truth, those who are willing to look beyond the lies and see the light. Imagine the debates, the controversies, the endless discussions as people wrestle with the teachings of Jesus and what they mean for their lives. The media would be flooded with opinions, arguments, and analysis, each person trying to make sense of his words, each one interpreting his message through the lens of their own experiences and beliefs. It would be a time of reflection, of soul-searching, as people everywhere confront the question, what does it mean to follow Jesus in today's world? And then there would be the miracles, the signs and wonders that would accompany his presence, undeniable acts that defy explanation, that challenge the boundaries of science and reason. Healings, transformations, acts of mercy and grace that leave witnesses speechless. For those who see them, these miracles would be a testament to his power, a glimpse of the divine breaking into the ordinary. But for others, they would be a source of fear, a challenge to the natural order, a reminder that there are forces beyond human understanding. Yet, even in the face of these miracles, there would be skeptics, those who refuse to believe, who seek to explain away the unexplainable, who cling to their disbelief as a shield against the possibility that there might be something greater than themselves. They would argue, debate, and deny, seeking comfort in their skepticism, refusing to acknowledge the signs that point to something more. And through it all, Jesus would continue to teach, to guide, to call each of us to a life of purpose, of meaning, of service. He would remind us that the path is not easy, that discipleship comes with a cost, but that the rewards are beyond measure. His words would challenge us, inspire us, and lead us toward a deeper understanding of what it means to be truly alive. For those who choose to follow him, this would be a time of transformation, to let go of the past and embrace a new life. It would be a journey of courage, resilience, and faith, a path, purpose, and meaning. As Jesus' presence and message spread, a transformation begins in countless hearts. It's a moment of awakening, a call for humanity to rise above itself and strive for something greater. The impact is felt everywhere, from villages to cities, from the poor to halls of power. The world is changing, yet so much remains the same. For as many as are willing to follow, others resist, clinging to old ways. The struggle between light and darkness, hope and fear, is ancient. And now, with Jesus among us, this struggle gains new meaning. Each choice we make, each path we choose, becomes part of this story. Imagine a world where compassion replaces indifference, where justice triumphs over oppression, and where people see each other as brothers and sisters. This is Jesus' vision, a world that could be, if only we work toward it to make the sacrifices it demands. But change is never easy. Many cling to comfort, unwilling to face the discomfort of transformation. To follow Jesus' path is to leave behind what holds us back, to step into love and service, to embrace humility over pride, generosity over greed. This path challenges everything we know about success. For some, the pull of the world proves too strong. They see his call, understand his message, but cannot bring themselves to follow. They choose to remain in the safety of what they know. Yet even for these, there is hope. As long as there is life, there is the possibility of change, of turning toward something better. In years to come, as Jesus' message spreads, a new generation will rise, shaped by his teachings, inspired by compassion, transformed by love. They will carry his vision, working to bring his message to every corner, striving to create a world that reflects God's mercy. As years pass, stories will be told of this time, of the days when Jesus walked among us again. People will speak of miracles, of healings, of lives changed, hope restored. They will remember sacrifices made, courage shown, and faith that carried them. These stories will be a reminder, a legacy for future generations, that humanity was given another chance, a time to awaken, to live in a way that honors the Creator. And perhaps these stories will inspire others to follow in his footsteps, to seek purpose, to embrace a path of love. But the journey doesn't end here. For those who choose to follow, there will be challenges, moments of doubt, times when the way seems dark. Yet they will not walk alone. The Spirit of Jesus will be with them, guiding them, reminding them they are part of something greater. This journey of faith requires courage, commitment, and an open heart. Reflect on this story. Ask yourself, what role will you play in this journey? Will you stand on the sidelines watching as the world changes? Or will you take that step, make that choice, and become part of this transformation? The choice is yours. The path is before you, waiting to be walked. Before we part, consider what it would mean to carry this message forward, to be a light in a world often lost in darkness. Think about what it would mean to live each day with purpose, to embrace each moment, to love, to serve, to grow. This is the life that Jesus calls us to, a life of meaning, a life of joy, a life that leaves a legacy. If you are ready to take this step, embrace this journey, then join us. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning. There's much more to learn, much more to discover. Together, we will explore the teachings of Jesus, the mysteries of faith, and what it means to live with purpose. The path ahead may be challenging, but it is a path worth walking, and with each step you will find you are not alone. Others walk this journey with you, others who seek to live a life that honors the Creator, a life that makes a difference. So take that first step, embrace the journey, the time is now.